Good afternoon and welcome to Astra Society's stream of the Anasis-II mission. It will be launching on a Falcon 9 in just under T-minus 18 minutes. All systems seem to be go on the Falcon 9 for this launch. Launch window opens in... Actually, launch window is currently open. It closes at, I believe it is 8 p.m. local time. SpaceX should be going live here shortly, so we're hoping to get you views of that very, very soon. Yeah, that's about it. So, stats for today's liftoff. Falcon 9 is launching from Slick 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. It'll be landing on the drone ship. Just read the instructions. Approximately 500 kilometers downrange from the launch site. It's going to be the 54th orbital attempt this year, 2020. It'll be SpaceX's 89th mission. It's going to be the 90th launch of the Falcon 9 and the 66th landing attempt. The booster supporting today's mission will be B1058.2. Its previous mission was the Crew Demo 2, launching Bob and Doug to the International Space Station just 51 days ago. This will be the fastest turnaround, assuming launch does occur today. Previous record was B1056 between JCSat-18 and Starlink 4 at 62 days. This will also beat the Space Shuttle's record, which I believe was it was Atlantis at 54 days between STS-51J and STS-61B. So a little bit of information about the satellite, Anasis-II. Anasis-II will be South Korea's first dedicated military satellite, and it was built by Lockheed Martin. Unfortunately, that is all the information we have because this is a classified mission for South Korea. So unfortunately, we will not be getting views from the second stage today. We are only going to be following the first stage as it launches and lands on the drone ship. Of course, I still love you. Just read the instructions. We are expecting SpaceX to go live in just about 15 seconds here. They usually go live about 15 minutes prior to liftoff, so I'm hoping to get you views of that very, very soon. Currently, liquid oxygen has begun fueling on the first and second stages. Shortly, we will have loading of the cryogenic RP-1.
SpaceX is live.
And we do have a live view of SpaceX. It's currently SpaceX FM, so we'll be transitioning to that very, very soon. And for the first time in a while, we've actually gotten a tweet from Elon Musk prior to our launch, although it is just T-minus 20 minutes. We're currently sitting at T-minus 14 minutes prior to the liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket carrying the Anasis-II. For those of you just joining us, SpaceX is targeting 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the launch of the Falcon 9 rocket carrying the Anasis-II satellite for the South Korean military. It is just under 13 and a half minutes from right now. This will be a record for SpaceX as the fastest booster turnaround. The previous fastest turnaround was 62 days for booster 1056 between JCSat-18 and Starlink 4. That was 62 days. This booster will be turned around in 51 days. Booster 1058.2 launched the Crew Demo 2 flight on May 30th of 2020, just 51 days ago, carrying Bob and Doug to the International Space Station. This will also beat the Space Shuttle's fastest turnaround. Atlantis was turned around in just 54 days between STS-51J and STS-61B. Currently, liquid oxygen is being loaded on the first and second stages of the launch vehicle, with first stage engine chill scheduled to begin in just about T-minus 5 minutes. Liftoff is again scheduled for 21:30 Universal Coordinated Time or 5:30 local time. This will be launching...
I just checked. The webcast is actually beginning at T-minus 10 minutes, not -50.
Oh, okay. So webcast should be beginning in about 1 minute and 50 seconds. Oh, here we go. We got SpaceX promo. Do we have webcast audio?
Yeah, I think it does.
Good afternoon. It is Monday, July 20th, and on your screen is a live view of the Falcon 9 rocket as it awaits its 5:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time launch from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station in Florida. My name is Michael Andrews, and I'm a supply chain supervisor here at SpaceX. And welcome to our webcast coverage for the Anasis-II mission. Our customer today is Lockheed Martin on behalf of the Republic of Korea. Per the customer's request, we will not show payload deployment today. However, we will stay live on the webcast and bring you verbal confirmation of spacecraft separation. We are just at under T-minus 11 minutes and counting, and all systems are go for an on-time liftoff this afternoon.
That is something I did not expect.
But if for some reason we
did not expect this, so we will actually be following the second stage into orbit today. However, we will not be getting visual confirmation of satellite deployment.
On your screen is that view of Space Launch Complex 40 with the Falcon 9 rocket.
Today.
It's our two-stage liquid-fueled launch vehicle getting ready for liftoff.
As it lands on the
Falcon 9 stands at about 230 feet tall, 70 meters tall. That's greater than the wingspan of a 747 aircraft. The bottom two-thirds of the vehicle is the first stage. It's designed to be reflown 10 or more times with minimal refurbishment between flights. And as you can tell from the re-entry soot on that first stage, it's pretty easy to spot a flight-proven booster. Today will be the second flight for this particular first stage, and actually less than 2 months ago, it was the one that launched Bob and Doug to the International Space Station on our historic Demo 2 mission. At the bottom of that first stage, there are 9 Merlin engines. They get Falcon 9 off the ground and up to the thinner parts of Earth's atmosphere, before separating from second stage and making its way back down to Earth for landing. And it's this part of the rocket that we will attempt to recover for a second time on our drone ship, known as Just Read the Instructions. You can see it there. It's stationed 350 nautical miles east of our launch site. And above the first stage, above that black interstage band, is our second stage. At about T plus 2.5 minutes into flight, the first and second stage will separate, and that second stage will ignite its single MVAC engine. That'll carry the Anasis-II spacecraft to its intended orbit. And the Anasis-II satellite is currently safely enclosed inside the 17-foot diameter payload fairing. It's that structure on the very top of the rocket. This protects the satellites from aerodynamic heating, loads, any kind of contamination that they might experience during ascent. But once we reach the vacuum of space, we no longer need those fairing halves, and we jettison them while the second stage continues to orbit. The fairing halves we're using today are a brand new set, which means we'll be attempting to recover them today using our 2 recovery ships, Mystery and Mischief. 2 minutes before the fairings are set to land, the team will decide if conditions are good to make a safe catch attempt. Now, weather plays a big factor in the decision, as it can impact not only the sea states for the boats, but also the fairings' altitude, position, and speed, all of which impact how the fairing will fall back to Earth. So as you just heard,
they are actually planning on catching the 2 fairing halves today on Mischief and Mystery.
It's called the transporter erector. We call it the TE. The
Boats,
TE rolls Falcon 9 to the launch pad and raises it to that vertical launch position, and also routes things like power, fluids, and communication to the rocket and satellite.
And allow the ship to be able
I'm John
to
Innsbrucker, Falcon 9 Principal Integration Engineer here at SpaceX. We're coming up on 8 minutes to launch, and all conditions continue to be go for launch.
It is John.
Falcon 9 rolled out to the pad Sunday afternoon, about 25 hours before launch, and went vertical 4 hours later. Now, more recently, the SpaceX launch director held the go, no-go poll for both prop load and launch. That was done at T-minus 38 minutes. Now, we're currently working, no issues on the Falcon 9 launch vehicle. If we do have to call a hold on today's launch, we have a nearly 4-hour window that could allow us to reload the ultra-cold liquid oxygen and make another launch attempt today. Of course, that presumes that we understand whatever caused us to hold the count and we can safely proceed with a recycle and launch. Now, if we cannot continue today, we have a backup opportunity tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. Now, we've been loading propellants on Falcon 9 since T-minus 35 minutes, putting fuel into both stages and oxidizer into the first stage. Our fuel is the refined form of kerosene known as RP1. The fuel is fully loaded on the second stage, and we're going to finish loading the first stage in about another minute. Now, as I mentioned a moment ago, our oxidizer is super chill liquid oxygen. We call it LOX. Now, the LOX is currently loading into both the first and second stage.
So
you can see the mist streaming off of the
chill.
first and second stage tanks.
So engine chill means
now, I mentioned it is super
cryogenic
chill.
liquid oxygen
We do
is
this in
being
order to
fed
load
into the
more LOX into the
turbopump
tanks
of the
and
9
increase
Merlin
performance.
engines on the first
Typically,
stage.
launch providers use
This gets
LOX
them
right
down
near its
to their
boiling point
operational
of about
temperature
300
of
degrees
minus
below 0
almost
Fahrenheit.
100
At SpaceX, we chill
90
the LOX
degrees
about
Fahrenheit?
40 degrees colder. That
Something like
makes
that.
it denser. It lets us
Do you
load
know
more
what it
into
is?
the first and second stages. Now, we have to load the LOX as late as possible to
have
keep
those
it from
numbers on the
warming
top
up
of my head.
and decreasing the performance. We're also finishing helium loading onto the first and second stage tanks. Now, as the Merlin
fueling
engine
is
pumps
just being
pull the
completed on the
RP1 and
first and
LOX out of the
second stages
tanks,
of the
we need
Falcon
to fill
9.
that emptying volume that
These
we
tanks
call the
will be
ullage. We use the
continuously
helium
topped up
stored
just
in pressure
prior
vessels
to
on the
liftoff,
stages, and
I
it's
believe,
heated by the exhaust of the
tank
engine's gas
pop-off,
generators. Heating
stops
the
at
helium helps it
T-minus
expand
1.
to fill the tanks. Now, a moment ago at T-minus 7 minutes, we heard engine chill begin. We're now allowing a small amount of the super chilled liquid oxygen to flow past the turbopump inlets. That's cooling them down to avoid thermal shocks when we light the engines at T-minus 2 seconds. On the spacecraft side, the team did transition the Anasis-II payload to internal battery power starting inside of T-minus 30 minutes. That work is complete. There are no
Anasis-II
issues,
is
and there are
currently
no
on
further
internal
actions
battery
required
power.
before
Falcon 9
launch.
goes on internal
We're
power
launching
at
out of the eastern range. The
1
good
minute
news
when the
is
vehicle
air and
enters
sea space is
startup.
clear. Weather balloons
That
that
is
have been released show the
currently
upper
the next
altitude weather is
task
good. We did have to delay the T0
our
30 minutes for a small rain shower that was crossing the trajectory path. That was moving out of the way, so right now weather looks to be good for a launch in just over 5 minutes as all systems continue to be go for liftoff at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Currently, weather is go. That is super
As we mentioned
exciting
earlier,
to
our
hear.
customer
It's
today
been
is Lockheed
scrub,
Martin on behalf of the
scrub
Republic
fest
of Korea.
recently.
We now have a quick
We are
message
very
to share
happy
from
to hear that
Korea's
weather
president
is
of the
go.
Agency for Defense Development.
안녕하십니까.
this is a video
국방과학연구소
from,
소장 남세규입니다.
government of
코로나19로
Korea
어려운
talking
환경에도
about it.
불구하고 아나시스-2
Falcon 9
위성
propellant
발사에
tanks are pressurizing for
헌신하시는
strong back return.
여러분께 감사드립니다. 아나시스-2 위성은 한반도 평화를 위한 것으로 한국의 IT와 우주 분야 연구개발의 한 단계 도약이 되길 희망합니다. 올해 창설 50주년을 맞는 국방과학연구소는 아나시스-2 위성 발사의 의미가 남달라 저도 코로나19 상황으로 발사장에 직접 참여하지 못해서 안타깝게 생각합니다. 비록 물리적 거리가 멀리 있지만 지능적인 온라인상의 사회적으로 가까워진 거리와 시간 때문에 저도 마음은 발사장에 계시는 전문가 동료 여러분들과 함께하고 있습니다. 라키드 마틴, 에어버스, 그리고 세상에서 가장 스마트한 펠콘 9 발사체의 발사를 주관하는 스페이스X 모든 분들의 노력에 감사드립니다. 아나시스-2 위성은 대한민국 국방부, 방위사업청, 합동참모본부, 각군 관계자와 특히 함께 연구한 국방과학연구소 위성통신체계단이 응원하고 있습니다. 아나시스-2 위성 발사와 목표한 궤도내 시험까지 성공하길 진심으로 기원합니다. 우주의 신들은 하늘길을 열어라. 펠콘 9 나가신다. 아나시스-2 완벽하라. 감사합니다.
We're currently 3.5 minutes from liftoff. Falcon 9 is now moving into the final stages of the countdown. The vehicle remains in good health. Now, during that video, the transporter erector strongback did retract to the launch position, moved a couple degrees away.
So that
That's
is
what
the
we
big
need,
structure that
sufficient
is
for
right
liftoff
next
of the
to
Falcon 9.
the Falcon 9.
Fuel
That
loading
retracts
is
just
complete
about
on both
4
first
degrees
and
prior to
second
liftoff.
stages. The liquid oxygen loading is
during
wrapping up
liftoff,
on
the
the first
strong
stage
back
and
will
will
retract
complete at
to
T-minus 2
almost
minutes
60
on the second
degrees.
stage.
This ensures that the strong back will not be damaged by the
Now,
shock
1 minute
forces
before
generated.
liftoff, you'll hear the announcement that Falcon 9 isn't startup. That means the rocket's internal computers on first and second stage are controlling the launch countdown. Now, the mission manager reports the Anasis-II space vehicle continues to be go.
Everything
Range continues to
is
be green
green.
for
We
launch,
are go
and
for
the
launch
weather
of
is
the
looking
Falcon
good.
9 rocket
Now,
carrying
once again,
the
as a reminder,
Anasis-II satellite.
if we don't launch today, we have a backup opportunity tomorrow at 5 p.m. Eastern. 2.5 minutes to launch. We have closed out the first stage liquid oxygen load. That just leaves stage 2 LOX loading to
close out
finish.
of LOX load. This means that the propellant tanks are full and will be continuously topped off prior to liftoff.
That call out tells us that the chill sequence we began at T-minus 7 minutes is now complete.
Stage 2 LOX load is complete.
That completes propellant loading on the Falcon 9. Stage 2 LOX load, the last one to finish up inside of 2 minutes. We'll now begin venting down the plumbing lines that go up that strong back that you can see behind the Falcon 9. So if you see a plume of white gas coming out, that's normal.
And we're doing T-minus 1 minute to launch.
You can see in the view from the camera, we're now venting down the liquid oxygen lines on the strong back, getting ready for launch. Next event will be startup coming at T-minus 1
Falcon 9
minute.
is currently in startup. This means the Falcon 9 has taken
Falcon
manual
9 is in
control of the
startup.
count.
Here's the call out. We're in startup. We're now pressurizing first and second stage
As
tanks
you
for
heard,
flight.
tanks are currently being pressurized. That means there's liquid nitrogen being pressurized, being brought into the tanks to pressurize
The final
them.
call to SpaceX launch director is given the go for launch. We're at T-minus 35 seconds and
They
counting.
currently
All
go for
systems
launch
are
of the
go.
Falcon 9. T-minus 30 seconds.
T-minus 30 seconds.
T-minus 17, 16, 15,
Stage 1 tanks prepping for
14,
flight.
13,
T-minus 15 seconds.
12, 11, 10, 9, 8,
10,
7,
9,
6,
8,
5,
7,
4,
6,
3,
5,
2,
4,
1.
3,
We have
2,
ignition.
1.
And we have liftoff of
Ignition.
the Falcon 9 rocket carrying Anasis-II
Liftoff.
to geostationary transport. Incredible launch views right now.
People pitching down range.
M1D propulsion is nominal.
It's look like we have stage 2 telemetry instead of stage 1.
Oh man. I really don't want to give it to us, do they?
Plus 40 seconds. Everything
Plus
looking good.
45 seconds, everything looking nominal. Max Q
That's
should
the
be
call
coming
out.
up in
Says
just about
M1D engines
25
are
seconds.
throttling down, getting ready to reduce vehicle acceleration in preparation for the period of
We should get
maximum
some
dynamic
amazing
pressure.
views of Falcon 9 as it's transonic.
We're in the bottom of the throttle bucket, as they call
Throttle
it.
bucket has been called out. This means Falcon 9 is throttling down its
Now the
engines prior
Merlin
to max
engine's
Q
coming back up
to be
to
able to
full power as
sustain
we
that
get ready to
intense
go supersonic.
pressures during flight. And Falcon 9 is supersonic.
Supersonic, we're coming through
Come
the
on,
period
let's see
of
that
maximum
shotgun.
dynamic pressure.
Vehicle has reached maximum aerodynamic pressure.
We're getting amazing views of the
Guidance
plume actually
engineer
being
confirms we're
pulled back
through the
up to the
period of
rocket.
greatest pressure on the vehicle.
Incredible.
Continuing downrange, trajectory looks good. Propulsion looks good. Avionics looks good.
Everything good on the Falcon 9. We're at 20 kilometers and a speed of 2,600 kilometers per hour.
M-Vecti chill has started.
That announcement from stage 2 propulsion. We are now beginning to chill in the turbo pump on the upper stage engine to get ready for its ignition coming up in about 45
Amazing view of
seconds.
the Falcon 9 currently.
Nice view from the SpaceX cameras at Cape Canaveral as we head east out of Space Launch Complex 40 into the first of 2 orbits planned for today. This orbit is the parking orbit, a low Earth orbit trajectory that will take us over the equator and will eventually relight the upper stage engine to transfer us into the desired geostationary transfer orbit. Now, main engine cutoff, or MECO.
So in case we missed it earlier, this means SpaceX finally beat the space shuttle's reusability turnaround record.
Second stage, and then ignition of the second stage engine.
Wow, this is going really fast, actually. I've seen expendable launches where they cut off at 8,000 kilometers per hour.
MECO on time. Stage up looks good.
Amazing views of a second stage
And the
ignition.
call-out MVAC-D engine is at full power. The view on the left screen, you can see the large titanium grid fins now slowly opening. That begins about a 2-minute period as we slowly rotate the first stage around to get it ready to come back through the atmosphere and land on the drone ship in the Atlantic off the east coast of Florida. Right-hand side, second stage engine glowing red. That's normal for the MVAC-D.
Trajectory.
Trajectory is nominal, we've heard from the guidance engineer. Great views coming from space. We're coming up on fairing deploy.
Fairing deploy in just about 5 seconds. We won't have visual confirmation. However, we will get confirmation from
Fairing
SpaceX.
separation confirmed.
And we've heard the call out from the avionics engineer. Fairing separation is confirmed.
You can see them falling away from the second stage.
I think you can see in the background behind the MVAC-D nozzle, one half of the fairing way in the distance as it went past the camera. So right now we're coming up 4 minutes into flight. Trajectory is looking excellent. We're right down the middle of the road. Power on the upper stage engine is good. Bermuda is now getting the telemetry from the Falcon 9, and we're getting great views from space at T plus 4 minutes and 13
SpaceX has had
seconds.
acquisition of signal at Bermuda. This means the Bermuda tracking station has acquired the signal from the
For
Falcon
those of you
9.
just joining us, we had a successful liftoff of our Falcon 9 rocket at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time from Cape Canaveral.
Yeah, and this booster will actually be landing inside of the Bermuda Triangle, if I remember correctly, the first stage booster.
Anasis-II satellite payload to its desired orbit. On the left-hand side, our first stage. We're beginning our recovery attempt on our drone ship out in the Atlantic Ocean. The next milestones coming up include that first stage's entry burn, followed by the second stage engine cutoff, known as SECO-1, the first stage landing burn, and then that hopeful landing. The entry burn will occur at about
Again, this is this
6.5
booster's
minutes
second
after lift.
flight, and it was a astounding success for the booster.
And what you don't see pictured
This
here are
booster
those
is
two
hopefully
fairing
going to be
halves.
landing
They've
on
been
the drone ship.
jettisoned.
Just read
It'll
the
take some time for them to
instructions
get
in
down to
approximately
sea level.
3
So we won't be
minutes.
covering on the webcast that recovery attempt status, but stay tuned on social
So
media
as
for
you said,
updates.
we will not be getting any confirmation of fairing catch on today's webcast. However, we will bring that to you on Twitter at Astra Society. So stay tuned and follow us on Twitter for that.
You see some pretty clear pictures of Earth there. The first stage has reached apogee. It's beginning to head down there. We're only going to be firing 3 of our Merlin engines during this entry burn in order to slow the vehicle down before it gets to the thicker parts of Earth's atmosphere. It'll slow the vehicle by about 25%. When we performed stage separation, that first stage was traveling about 2.5 kilometers per second. So we have a lot of velocity to reduce.
Trajectory.
And we're just under 30 seconds from that entry burn beginning.
So as the commentator
It's gonna
said,
last
we are
about
30
24
seconds away from the entry burn starting. This is when Falcon 9 ignites 1 and then 3 of its Merlin engines to slow it down before it hits the atmosphere. So when you're traveling at such hypersonic speeds, it is not actually friction with the atmosphere that
10
heats
seconds
up,
away
but
from
it's
entry
actually the
burn.
pressure from
Hopefully
the
we'll be able
atmosphere.
to hear that
So
call out.
slowing down can
and
substantially
visual
reduce the
confirmation
amount
that
of
burns
pressure and forces and temperature that build up on the vehicle.
Stage
We have
1 entry burn
confirmation of
startup.
that entry burn starting.
Our entry burn has begun. You'll see that the exhaust there will grow and start to become elliptical as we turn on the engines. The center engine fires first. The 2 side engines fire shortly after that. So that exhaust will seem to grow.
Everything
during
looking
this
good
burn.
on the entry burn as far as we can tell. And we have entry burn shutdown.
Stage 1, entry burn shutdown.
All right, 1 burn down, 1 to go. That's the landing burn. It'll occur in about 1 minute from now, along with the next milestone, the second stage engine cutoff, or SECO 1. That'll be at T plus 8 minutes, 7 seconds. During SECO 1, we shut down the second stage MVAC engine on the right-hand side of the screen.
Unfortunately, it looks like we have lost the view from Falcon 9. We'll hopefully be getting a
25
shot
seconds after SECO
from the
Falcon
drone
9
ship
touchdown,
as it
hopefully, on our
lands.
drone ship. Just read the instructions. Currently, it's in the Atlantic, about 350 nautical miles off the coast of Florida.
Start of terminal guidance.
And in terms of velocity of that first stage, drag alone is slowing the first stage down another 80%. That
We
landing
actually have a
burn will
little
take us
correction
back
here. There's
to that
actually
last
650
20%.
kilometers
Touch us down
downrange from Cape Canaveral, 350 nautical miles. We should have second engine cutoff. That is when the second stage engine shuts down and the vehicle will be in orbit, followed very shortly by
Just
the
under 10
first stage
seconds from
landing burn.
and
Will likely
SECO
be
1.
a 30-second landing burn as it hopefully lands on the drone ship.
SECO.
And we have
Stage 1,
confirmation of landing burn.
startup.
We have confirmation of both landing burn and SECO 1. We're waiting confirmation of a good orbital insertion for that Anasis-II satellite.
See the camera shaking as that booster gets closer and closer.
And the landing
Stage
legs
1.
also
We have landing leg
also
deploy.
deploying now.
Nominal park orbit insertion.
And touchdown. Falcon 9 has landed on the
And
drone
there it is.
ship.
That is our
Just read the
57th
instructions.
successful landing by Falcon
Following
9
a
on our drone ship. Just read the
nominal
instructions.
liftoff from
While we were
Cape
watching that
Canaveral
landing, we also had confirmation
Space Force
of nominal
Station
orbit insertion.
Slick 40.
We're all pretty excited over here at SpaceX for being able to use this first stage for a third time coming up. But going back to our primary mission on the second stage, it's going to coast for about 18 minutes until we
landing.
cross the equator,
Amazing
where we
footage of
perform the
landing.
second of 2 burns of the upper stage, help change the orbit. We're going to take a break until then. We're going to leave you with a map of where we are in the mission. We'll be back at about T plus 26 minutes for the second burn of our MVAC engine.
So SpaceX is taking a quick break here. They will be back at T plus 26 minutes. We are also going to take a quick break here. We'll be back at T plus 25 minutes.
Also signal Bermuda as expected. Acquisition of signal, goodbye.
And we are back. We just had acquisition of signal, so we got all of that juicy telemetry. Currently traveling at 26,608.7 kilometers per second at an altitude of 180 kilometers. We are just about T-minus 50 seconds from second engine start 2. So that will boost the satellite and the second stage up to geostationary transfer orbit. Currently have engine chill starting on MVAC.
Welcome back. John Innsbrucker here at SpaceX headquarters in Hawthorne, California. It's T+26 minutes. In about 30 seconds, we're going to get relight of the upper stage engine called second engine start number 2, actually second stage engine start number 2, or SES-II. Now this burn will be a little more than 55 seconds, and that'll carry us into the transfer orbit, and hopefully we'll be able to bring you a view of the engine burn as it gets going. From the map you can see we're just about to cross the equator. That's where you do an inclination change that's most efficient. We've got ignition on the upper stage engine. And propulsion engineer calls out that the ignition looks good. We're up at power.
Look at that nozzle wobble.
Now currently when we went into the burn, we were at low Earth orbital speed of about 7.4 kilometers per second. This burn, just under a minute long, is going to add another 2.5 kilometers per second to that velocity. That's what it'll take to get the satellite and the second stage into the geosynchronous.
Look at that speed meter on the left.
I know, it's already at 32,000.
We're throttling down, getting ready to shut down the engine.
I gotta go back at this and figure out how many G's that is. And we have SECO-2, so the second stage engine has cut off.
SECO-2.
We are just about
SECO-2 confirming
5
the
minutes
second
away
stage
from
engine cutoff number 2
on the SpaceX timeline.
Now we're going to wait and listen for guidance to tell us how the orbit looks.
Oh, sorry. I messed up the graphic, everyone. Should be 30 minutes, 29 seconds, not 3 minutes. I'll fix that right. Hold on.
So just about 3 minutes and 20 seconds from payload deploy.
And we haven't heard guidance engineer call out, but looking at the data plots that we've got from vehicle telemetry, we've got a nominal orbit. So we have to call out orbit is nominal. Transfer orbit. The Falcon 9 second stage with the Anasis-II spacecraft still attached. We're now going to go through a period of about 3.5 minutes where we prepare to separate the Anasis-II satellite. We're going to take another quick break, and we'll be back at T+32 minutes for satellite deploy.
So while SpaceX is taking a break, we will also be taking a break. We'll be back at T+31 minutes.
Acquisition of signal, South Africa.
And we are back just under 1 minute from deployment of the Anasis-II satellite. We should be getting confirmation from SpaceX, but unfortunately, there will be no video since this payload is unfortunately classified. An update on fairing. We should be getting fairing catch confirmation in just about 15 minutes, so stay tuned to SpaceX Twitter and Astra Society Twitter for updates.
But when we launched, had great skies. We had great views from first stage and second stage. Saw the first stage land on the drone ship. We've done the 2 burns of the upper stage engine. Both of them were nominal. But right now we're getting ready for the big event, which is spacecraft separation. And as a reminder, we won't see payload deploy today per the customer's request. So we're going to listen in for the avionics engineer to call it.
We should have payload deploy.
Payload separation.
And we have confirmation of payload deploy.
And there it is. Avionics engineer calls. Payload separation has deployed, confirming that via telemetry. And so 32 minutes, 49 seconds into flight. That's the camper. We've done the primary mission. We've brought the first stage back to the drone ship. It's been a great day. Took a little while getting here, but well worth it with a totally successful mission today.
And with that successful payload separation, that will end our coverage for today. We want to say thank you to Lockheed Martin and the Republic.
Oh, I think we got a video of the satellite in the background.
45th Space Wing for range support and to the
Oops.
Federal Aviation Administration for licensing support. And of course, thank you for watching. Have a good night.
Here, can you go back on the webcast a little bit?
Sure. Oh, back. Wait.
That might have just been the engine, but it was real quick.
Range separation that
Been a
Yeah.
great day. Took a little while getting here, but well worth it with a totally successful mission.
Right when it switches over to the other guy.
That successful payload separation that will end our coverage for today. We want to say thank you to Lockheed Martin and the Republic of Korea for entrusting us
No.
with
It was
these
too
missions.
blurry.
Also, a special thanks goes
All
out
right.
to the 45th Space Wing for range support.
Well, that concludes our webcast.
All right, everybody. Thank you for watching the Astra Society webcast. Remember, follow us on Twitter at Astra Society, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.